The Fizzy Wizard. The Fizzy Wizard. Focus question. How does Mike choose a business and what is the outcome? It was the week after Easter and Mike McCarthy had a chocolate egg in his lunch. From several feet down the cafeteria table, his classmate River eyed it longingly. Your mom packs candy in your lunch? River asked. My dad, actually, Mike said. Sometimes, after holidays and stuff, you know. River shook his head. I don't know, he sighed. River was one of those poor, deprived kids whose parents never let them have sugar. Mike peeled away the pink foil from his egg. He didn't want to torment River, but even under the cafeteria lights the chocolate gleamed warmly. I'll give you a quarter of that egg, Mike River said. Cheapskate, skate, said Jack. He was Mike's best friend. Done, said Mike. River dug in his pockets, but in the end he could only bring up 17 cents. I'll pay you the rest tomorrow, River promised. Jack's eye gleamed with sudden interest. Hold on, he said, producing a dollar bill. I'll pay you on dollar right here and now. Mike knew Jack didn't really want a chocolate egg because he knew Jack was a chocolate snob. Jack would probably say the chocolate egg tasted like wax, but behind the dollar bill, Jack eyed Mike silly, and Mike understood what his friend was doing. He was trying to drive up the price. It was working. River looked desperate now. I'll pay you $1 tomorrow, he promised. Nah, Mike said, handing him the egg. We're good. At recess, Jack reached over and shook Mike's hand. Well played, he said. The old first one is free tactic. Am I right? Not really, Mike said, unless you consider 17 cents free. Pretty much, Jack said. Besides, now he's hooked and you've got him actually where you want him. Think how much money you could make if you doubled your asking price. Mike shook his head, almost without thinking. He said, I can't price out my customer base. Mike's feet stopped so suddenly that he nearly tripped over them. Thunderstruck, his mouth fell open. Customer base? The customer base? What customers? What product? In that moment, Mike knew the answer to all three. Thanks to Jack, he knew at long last what his business would be, and he knew that this time his business would succeed. Jack, Mike said, you're genius. When Mike got home, he pulled down the bag of foil-covered eggs from the kitchen cupboard. His mom walked in. Not before dinner, she said. Oh, I know, Mike said. I was just curious how many of these eggs come in a bag. It doesn't say on the bag. About 40. How much was the bag? About $4. Mike put away the bag and ran upstairs to visit his banker. Hey, sis, he said, hanging in Esther's doorway. I'm ready for that loan. Math minute. If a bag of chocolate eggs costs $4 then contains 40 eggs, how much does each bag in the bag cost? The answer is 10 cents. Originally, Mike had planned to take out a loan from Esther for $25. That amount had seemed like just enough to get a business up and running. But that was before he knew what he'd be selling. As it turned out, $25 was far more than he needed because the thing Mike ended up selling was so cheap. Instead, Mike took out a loan for $10. He bought 2 bags of Easter candy, marshmallow chicks, and more chocolate eggs, marked down for quick sale. His customer base started with River and his sugar-deprived friends. Kids might not carry wallets, but everybody seemed to have loose change in their pockets. If they didn't, nobody seemed to mind loaning a friend a dime. Nobody seemed to mind that Easter had come and gone, either. Word spread through the third grade class like wildfire. My Scout candy, just cheap candy. The chicks were gone in 2 days, the eggs in 3. That afternoon, Mike rolled up the second empty bag, stuffed it in his backpack, and whistled on the walk home. "You're in a good mood," said Esther. Mike smiled and kept on whistling. "Candy business working out? I've got the money to pay back the loan you gave me." Mike paused, and the interest. He was trying to sound coastal, but his brain was shouting, "This is working, this is working, this is actually working." Esther fist bumped him. "You're on a roll," she said. "Gonna keep going?" "You know," Mike said, "I think I might." Now that the Easter candy was sold, Mike changed things up. He wanted hard candy, which wouldn't dry out or grow stale like marshmallows or melt like chocolate. If the candies were wrapped, they wouldn't stick together in the Midwest humidity either. He shopped for the best deal and found a big bag of Fizzy Wizzies. 128 candies for $4. Mike stood in the store aisle with a pocket calculator, punching numbers. As that price and quantity, each piece of candy cost him just over 3 cents. Lost in thought, he started so hard that at the store ceiling that passing shoppers looked up too, wondering what was up there. "Say, I sell these for 10 cents apiece," he muttered feverishly. "I declaring almost 7 cents per candy. That's," he punched more numbers, "almost $9 per feet. And that's net, not gross." The numbers were mind-boggling, almost unbelievable. Mike double-checked his math, but the numbers spoke the truth. Esther spread the word, and soon the second graders were buying from Mike too. Then it was the fourth and fifth graders and even a teacher or two. His business was going gangbusters, ramping up as third grade was winding down. On a bad day, Mike was selling 20 Fizzy Wizzies. On a good day, he was selling double that. He was clearing $12 a week, and business showed no signs of slowing down. The best part, though, was that customers loved his product. It made them happy. He made them happy. They'd even given him a nickname, the Fizzy Wizard. It was only 1 year since his business adventures had begun. 1 year since he'd been a clueless second grader who didn't even know the difference between net profit and gross. Mike looked back now and shook his head in wonder. Imagine not knowing that. When school let out on the last day, 400 shouting kids exploded through the front doors like a short, crazed army. So when Robin Aguilar Green approached Mike and Jack, he seemed to float toward them through a sea of small, noisy heads. "Hey, kid," Robin said. "Are you the one they called the Fizzy Wizard?" Mike nodded, pleased that his fame had spread so far. Robin was the coolest kid in school, and Mike, even Jack, had worshipped him for as long as they could remember. "Show me what you got," Reuben said, and Mike did. Reuben picked two and handed Mike a quarter. "You're performing a public service," he said. "Keep the change." Mike and Jack watched in awed silence as the older boy unwrapped the watermelon Fizzy Wizzy. He chucked the candy in his mouth, the wrapper in his pocket, winked and ambled away. Jack's tongue worked first. "He's a national treasure," Jack called after him. Reuben kept working, but over his shoulder he gave them a big thumbs up.